What's going on, everyone? Uh, welcome to everybody who's tuning in right now. Welcome to those that are going to be rewatching this later on. This is going to be a bit of a interesting lesson because this is actually going to be included as one of the introductory lessons within our curriculum for the Scale and Tech Bootcamp. That being said, this information is not just valuable, it's going to give away a lot of game and a lot of direction for everyone. So, for those of you that are either doing another boot camp, is going to give you a lot of direction. It's going to give immensely a lot of direction for those of y'all who haven't done anything yet. You haven't made a decision as to how to get in tech. Maybe you're looking to figure that out. And for those of you who are currently in the Scale and Tech program that we have, and those of you that are, as you're watching this, you just now joined, this is going to give a lay of the land for you because we've made some major updates within the program to give y'all more resources, more direction, as well as some back-end stuff as well that we'll talk about a little bit later. So the title of this video, as it's online, is currently 3 steps to getting into tech, really 3 steps to getting into big tech, but 3 steps to getting into tech, in parentheses, fast. And you're going to see why. You're going to see why, you're going to see how. And so this is a video. I'm actually surprised I never made this before, but the idea to make this actually came about with really our program because I realized, okay, we have these amazing resources in our program. And I've noticed that, and let me know in the chat, I will talk about that later, but I've noticed that a lot of different students that are in the program are not taking advantage of these other resources. So for some of you might know, we have interviews on the back end at the end of the program, interviews with big tech companies. So we have recruiters and hiring managers from companies like Google. I was about to say HubSpot, that would be a lie. Google, Microsoft, Salesforce, IBM, Oracle, Workday, and several others that are where we have recruiters and hiring managers that are coaching, interviewing, and providing referrals and trainings for the purpose of job assistance, specifically at their company. So I want to be very clear. This isn't getting coaching from recruiters as to how to just get a job in tech. This is literally for their company, for them to give you referrals and coaching. So that's something that we have included now into our program. So it's something that everyone that's joining the program now has access to. Some of you got it separately before we actually just merged it into the program. But now for everyone moving forward, you have access to this. And the reason why I'm gonna be transparent is because the recruiters and the hiring managers that we've been working with, they've actually been on our backs about us recommending more people to them. And so at first it was something separate where it's like, hey, you can sign up for our tech sales training. You can sign up for our QA. By the way, you also can have this higher package where on the back end, you get connected with these recruiters and hiring managers. And we noticed, we're like, you know what? People were asking for it. So we said, okay, let's just kind of merge this in. So moving forward, everyone will have access to this piece. So anyway, that being said, purpose of this conversation is to talk about the 3 steps to getting into tech, but it's also going to lay the foundation to the Tech Career Accelerator training that we have. Now, again, this is not me pitching for anybody to join our tech bootcamp. This is for those who are already in our program. I just decided to go live because some of you are already in another program, and I decided to go live to help give you all direction as well. Because my goal, my desire is for people to get in tech, whether you do our program or you do another quality program. Of course, I'm extremely biased about what it is we're doing, especially our connection with recruiters and hiring managers. Nevertheless, my heart goes out to seeing everyone get in the industry and scale in the industry. So that being said, shouts out to everybody who's here. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from and also what it is you currently do in tech or what it is that you are working towards doing in the tech industry. So let's jump into it. We're going to go over the 3 steps to getting into tech, and there is a bonus at the end. A bonus at the end. So step number 1 to getting into the tech industry, and I'm going to get to questions. I'm going to get to questions in a minute. Step number one is gonna sound simple, but a lot of people are making a mistake with this. A lot of people. And a lot of people think this is simpler than what it is. So we're gonna break it down. Step number one to getting into the tech industry fast is finding what you actually want to do in tech. I know some people are like, huh? That's deeper than what it sounds like. I cannot tell y'all how many times I've been at tech events and I've heard I was getting ready to introduce someone to a recruiter or hiring manager, or I introduced like someone came up to me and said, "Oh, hey Cyrus, I see your content on social media. I love your content," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, cool." And maybe I'm busy because maybe I'm doing interviews or maybe I'm at the event working, and they'll say, "Yeah, Cyrus, do you think you can introduce me to somebody?" And it's like, "Oh, here's my friend who's a recruiter. Let me introduce you." Introduce. And then they tell the recruiter friend of mine, yeah, I'm trying to get in the tech industry. And a friend of mine will say, okay, cool. All right, well, what is it that you want to do? And then they'll say, I'm not really sure. That happens way too often. Like you're not at that point, you might as well just, it's like, what? Like basically all you're saying is, hey, I'm trying to get a lot of money and I want you to help me. That's really all you're saying. You're not even saying you want to get in the tech industry. Because it's like the question is, if you don't even know what you want to do, then is it that you want to get in the tech industry? Or is it that you just want to make a lot of money? Which there's nothing wrong with wanting to make a lot of money. But again, this is where we talk about point number one. I'm going to break it down. So again, you have to find what you want to do. Now, this includes you doing something that is a category in the industry category in the industry, as well as something that is more specific or detailed. Now, what I mean by that is a category or a sub-industry in tech. A sub-industry in tech is tech sales. It's a sub-industry. Cybersecurity is a sub-industry. DevOps, which includes cloud, Linux, systems administrator, things like that. That's a sub-industry in tech. Data, whether we're talking data analytics, data science, it overlaps with business analysts as well. That's a sub-industry in tech. So first you need to choose your category, your industry. Are you trying to get into tech sales? Are you trying to get in the cloud space, into DevOps basically? Are you trying to get into the QA space? So you need to choose. Whenever you're thinking about, you need to choose. Now, the other thing is you need to be a little bit more granular, and you need to also choose what specifically, like one or two things specifically in that domain that you want to work in. So again, let's use tech sales as an example. You can be a sales engineer. You can be a SDR. You can be a BDR, which they kind of overlap sometimes. You can be an account executive. You can be a customer success manager. Even though you're not selling anything in a customer success manager, it still falls into the realm for the most part as the tech sales space. You could be a solutions architect, which, again, some overlap. You can be a account manager. So that's tech sales. So again, you want to know the domain and you want to know at least two, maybe three things you want to do. The reason for this, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. Like you don't want to be too broad. You don't want to say when a recruiter's like, oh, what are you looking to do in tech? I'm looking to do tech sales. Okay. But what exactly do you want to do in tech sales? And if you're like, oh, I don't really know. Now you're kind of still close to riding that line of you just want to make money. And maybe you just heard the term tech sales. So now that's just a buzzword you like to use. Or maybe you know somebody in tech sales who's making money, so you want to do it. So Kira says we have to relocate for any of these. So if you're talking about our partner companies, it depends on the company. Excuse me, not partner companies, the recruiters that we're partnered with at the companies. I want to be very clear. We're not partnered with Microsoft, but we are partnered with recruiters, hiring managers at Microsoft. We're partnered with recruiters and hiring managers that are at Salesforce and Google and all these major tech companies. Anyway, so you want to know the category. So again, those of you that have joined the Scale and Tech program, that are watching this as one of the early introductory videos, obviously you've already chosen a category. But to make it more granular, speaking to you who's just joined and who's watching this after the fact, if you're in our QA program, or you're in our tech sales program, or you're in our DevOps program, it's important for you to decide 2 to 3 things that you want to do. Now, you don't have to worry too much because our program is fully comprehensive. So you're going to be trained in everything in tech sales. You're going to be trained in everything in QA. You're going to be trained in everything in DevOps. The reason for that is to make sure you have no limit of what job you qualify for in that domain. So you can do any tech sales job if you're in tech sales. You can do any DevOps job. You can do any QA job. You can do those things. We're also adding a data analyst and cybersecurity, but that takes a lot of work to have our curriculum up to par. So we're not going to be launching those until probably this summer. Anyway, that being said, you have unlimited potential. The person who's in the program, you have unlimited potential as to what you're able to do in that domain. But for the rest of you, more than likely, if you're doing a boot camp or a program that's not like ours, it's totally fine. But they might not be as comprehensive where they cover everything. So you will need to determine 1 or 2 things specifically that you want to do and make sure you lean into that as you're getting educated in the industry. So again, number 1 of 3 steps to getting into tech is find what you want to do in tech. We talked about the categories. So you need to know if you want to do tech sales, if you want to do cybersecurity, if you want to do cloud, you need to know that. But then to double down, you also need to know what in that space you want to do. You want to be able to do that. So that way you can highlight that to a recruiter or hiring manager. Other thing, when it talks about finding what you want to do in tech, is making sure you're doing something that's in demand in the industry. Now, again, I'm going to breeze past this because those that are watching this later, you'll notice that we don't offer anything that's not in demand. But you need to make sure. I'm gonna tell you, this is a huge mistake people make. It's a huge mistake people make. People want to do something in tech and don't even know if it's in demand anymore. Like, there's a lot of people that want to be a scrum master. And it's like, being scrum master has not been in demand for about 1.5 years, 2 years. It's not in demand. And it's probably never going to come back in demand. That's just what it is. And so people hear that there's a job that makes a lot of money, and therefore they're like, I want to do that. And that's where people mess themselves up at. You never do that. You always have to look at, what is something paying? What is the current demand for it? Is there actually a demand for it, or are there just a few companies hiring for it and they're paying a lot of money, and I want to be 1 out of 1 million people to land the role? Second thing, or the third thing, I might be kind of off with this, is it being something that has longevity. Now, demand and longevity are 2 different things. Yeah, someone said project management does the same thing. Exactly. That's part of the reason why Scrum is getting eaten up, because project. All right, cool. I'm back in here. I'm not really sure what happened, but I'm back in. I switched over to my hotspot off my phone. Um, so um, okay said, "Dang, I'm sorry, my statement froze us." Anyway, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just teach this to everybody here, and I'm gonna make a separate video for people that are in that are actually in our program, because I want that one to be more specific to them, and I don't feel like it's fair to them to have a video that's kind of answering a lot of questions in the comments. This video really for them should just be about a 10-minute, 15-minute video. But I'm going to be answering a lot of y'all's questions in the comments. That being said, a couple things. Nebuchadnezzar in the chat, Nebuchadnezzar the second. Stop judging people. I see you in the chat. Stop judging people. You know, saying that if you just want to make money and don't have a passion, I feel sorry. Why are you worried about what other people want to do, or why they want to get in tech? Like, you shouldn't be worried about other people's reason. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to get in tech because they want to make money. And the reason why I say that is because you think these companies hire you because they're passionate about you. They hire you because they want you to help them make more money. So it's almost like you dating. It's almost like someone using you, and you know they're using you, but yet you want to love them. And you're like, I know they're using me. I know that this manager, this company only wants me because I'm helping produce and I'm helping them make money, but it's okay because I love them and I'm passionate about them. Like, you sound like a child. And I'm not saying you do specifically, but I'm saying that thought process. So don't judge people because they want to get in tech because they want to make money, because that's what a job is. A job being someone's passion is a new age thinking that's been passed down to poor people and broke people to keep you chasing passion over chasing productivity, over something that's going to produce. So again, the reason for a job, a career, like, God did not give us jobs. Like, we don't have jobs for the sake of passion fulfillment. We have jobs for the sake of producing revenue, and we can use that revenue to do things with our passion. We can use that revenue to give to people. We can use that revenue to travel. We can use that revenue to spend more time with friends and family and loved ones and get them gifts. So it is manipulation to see your job as your passion. Your family should be your passion. Your purpose should be your passion. That should be your passion. Now, maybe you're doing your job in tech for a company that's doing something that aligns with your passion. But again, it's a thought process that's meant to keep people in a hamster wheel. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with working a job even for the rest of your life, particularly a job that pays a lot of money. But let's escape this thought of it being our passion. Like, oh, I got to find something that's my passion. It's like, that's a luxury for the wealthy. Once you become wealthy, or you have a lot of money, at least that you're rich, is when you're like, okay, cool. Now I have the freedom and the money to now chase my passion. So again, at the end of the day, just don't judge people here in the comments. Don't be like, man, if you ain't passionate, don't get in the industry. Can't stand when people do that. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me because I wasn't passionate about being a sales engineer, and I outperformed all the sales engineers at my teams. And they were some of them were passionate about it. So even don't even think not having passion affects your productivity, because I was passionate about that money I was going to get and what I was going to do with that money to actually like elevate my passions and my purpose. Yeah. But again, either way, it's totally fine if you're passionate about, being, working in tech or whatever. Totally fine. Totally fine if that's you. Just don't be judging other people because that's not them. Everybody's different. Everybody's built different. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and block you, Nebuchadnezzar, because you want some other stuff. You're like a miserable person who just, you're like, I'm already hired. I didn't say you weren't hired. I don't know what you're talking about. You want some other stuff. Anyway, let's get back to the focus of this. I'm gonna block this person. We ain't got time for no negative people in here. All right. So back to regular degular schmegular programming. So again, there's a difference. So the reason why that person brought that up, I'm believing, is because we want to talk about you knowing what you want to do. Now, there's a difference between knowing what you want to do versus being passionate about it. You can know what you want to do. And mind you, there's nothing wrong with you liking your job in tech. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, don't think you have to be passionate. That's a trick that keeps people poor. If you look at some of the top most successful companies in the world that are making crazy money, it's not a passionate thing. But those rich people use that wealth they built to chase things they're passionate about. So like Elon Musk was not passionate when he co-founded PayPal. Larry Ellis, who I believe was one of the other co-founders, was not passionate. Sergey Brin was not passionate. All of the co-founders of PayPal were not passionate. Sergey Brin and the co-founder of Google were not passionate about search. They weren't like, man, I'm so passionate about search. Man, having a search engine. They weren't like that. So we got to escape this. It's a because when we're chasing passion, it keeps us only doing what makes us feel good in the moment instead of what will long term produce something that will bless us and bless others in a more massive way. Now Elon Musk is doing what he's passionate about. He's passionate about SpaceX. He's passionate about Tesla, not necessarily the cars, but the robots and stuff. Now he's doing, he's passionate. But anyway, off that topic, let's get back to the focus. We must stay focused. All right, so going back to it, first thing, 3 steps to getting in tech fast, finding what you want to do. So we talk about knowing the category. So tech sales being a category, QA being a category, DevOps being a category, and then knowing what roles, 2 to 3 of those in that category or that sub industry in tech that you want to do. There's that piece. Also making sure whatever you're looking for is in demand. I never talk about anything in tech that is not in demand. I just don't do that. I used to talk heavy about sales engineering because it was at one point in demand. It's not in demand anymore. It's still in the market. There's still jobs for sales engineering, but it's not in demand. That's why I stopped talking about it. Also, something that has longevity. So that's the difference. Sales engineering had demand at the point in time, but it didn't have the longevity that being an account executive has. It just didn't. So you want to make sure it's something that has longevity. Last thing, you want to make sure it's something that overlaps with other trades and fields, because the more something you're doing in tech overlaps, the more you can pivot or shift to another company. Like it's the more you're just able to do that. So for example, in our program, we have the Tech Career Accelerator where, so for example, any of you all who have done some form of sales, like if you have like a serious sales background, at least over a year and a half, 2 years, and or you did a tech sales boot camp already, or you did a sales engineering boot camp already, with our Tech Career Accelerator, you can literally do our Tech Career Accelerator. Within 1 month, you will be getting interviewed by recruiters and hiring managers from 2 major tech companies, and you get to choose the companies. And the reason why we can say that confidently is because all of the tech companies, whether we're talking Oracle, IBM, Google, Microsoft, all of these companies where we have recruiters and hiring managers at, they are hiring for various types of tech sales professionals, whether sales engineering, whether account executive, SDR. So again, because there is some overlap with some of those roles, if you have been a sales engineer, but never, or if you did a sales engineering boot camp, but there's an account executive role open at company A, and then there is an SDR role open at company B, or maybe another sales engineering role. If you want to apply to both of those, you can do that because there is some overlap. So that's something people miss out on. So you want to make sure you find what you want to do in tech, and you want to have it broken down in that way where you're able to choose the category, the category, the detailed preference, if it's in demand, if it has longevity, and also it overlapping with things. It has to overlap because you're doing something. Again, that's why something like Scrum Master doesn't overlap with a lot of other jobs in tech. It just doesn't. But doing something like, I already gave an example with the tech sales. I'm not going to give another example. Let me know if y'all are getting value from this. Let me check out the chat, see what y'all are talking about. Check out the chat, see what y'all are talking about. Yeah, Rish, I love that comment from Rish. We said, I think you can become passionate as you're learning tech or anything, kind of like how I am with Python right now. Sucked in the beginning, but as you get the hang of it, you really like it. Yeah, and I truly believe God made us that way, where when we continue to work at something, we start to love it and start to become passionate over time. It's like working out. No one likes working out when they start working out. Like, no one wants to move heavy stuff when you don't have to. Like, a gym is literally a place you go into to pick up heavy stuff and put it back down, and pick up heavy stuff and put it back down. It's actually kind of silly when you think about it. No one in their right mind would want to do that. And then on top of that, when you talk about DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, that hits you within 24 to 48 hours later after working out, that's when you really don't like it. But you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. Eventually, you start to love the burn. Eventually, let me know in the chat, any of y'all that work out and like you really work out, you know what it's like when you start working out so much that sometimes you don't even feel muscle soreness a couple days later. And tell me the truth, in your head, doesn't it make you question if that workout was really worth it? You like, man, I'm not hurting right now. Was that workout even really worth it? It's because you go from hating the pain to now that pain is a symbol to you that it produced something. So likewise is, if you're fine. So likewise is like, I believe God made us that way, just naturally, where we keep going at something. That's how I got in tech. I didn't care about technology. I prayed, I asked God to give me a mindset that cared about it. God reminded me of scriptures in the Bible, like one of them, faith without works is dead. So God was like, yo, if you have the faith that I'm going to allow you, or I'm going to grow you to start caring about this stuff, you need to put in the work as if that is you. And that was one of the scriptures. There's a whole nother scripture, but I ain't here to preach right now. There's a whole nother scripture that inspired me as well, that allowed me to reframe my thinking. So anyway, let's get back to it. So it's RPA in demand. Great question. RPA has longevity. RPA is strange. It's in demand, but it's not in huge demand. That's why I don't talk about RPA a lot. So for those of y'all that don't know, I'm an RPA developer. I'm an RPA. I ain't gonna say this. I'm live right now. I was about to say something. Somebody would have clipped and it would have went a little halfway viral. I'm not gonna say it. So, but I'm an RPA developer. That's all I'm saying. I'm an RPA developer, but I don't talk about it because I know it's not in high demand. So I know it's not. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. I got my jobs in RPA. I didn't apply to companies. I didn't reach out to people. People reached out to me in my network. People found out I was learning RPA and I was in a course, and different recruiters reached out to me that are in my network. And they were like, "Hey, Cyrus, we got these openings," and they sent them over to me. Which is something we're going to talk about. It's important for you to grow your network. But anyway, I'm going to address a couple more comments and we're going to get back to it. As a pharmacist, I want to break into healthcare tech, but I don't know what to do. I want to maybe work on blood glucose monitors or help people read their numbers easier. So that's different. What you're talking about is domain. So there is skill and then there's domain. So domain is good for when you're applying to certain companies, but you have to know what skill you want to have. So again, sales engineering is a skill. QA analyst is a skill. Linux systems administrator is a skill, but you can do all of those jobs, those skills at a health tech company. That's a domain. So you need to figure out what skill, or again, what sub industry, which includes the skills that you want to focus on and do. And again, my suggestion, tech sales, again, the tech sales space, the QA space, the DevOps space, the data space, or the cybersecurity space. But preferably, if you're going to do some type of bootcamp or program, you want to make sure that it has AI education implemented within those certain roles. So that way you're ahead of the industry. All right, so let me get back to my notes. So we talking about the 3 steps to getting into tech. The first step is finding what you want to do. Sounds simple, but hopefully you are able to get value from me breaking down in detail what I meant by that. Because a lot of people are trying to get in tech. Like y'all see all these students at Harvard, this videos going viral of students like computer science graduate. Y'all know I never talk about computer science. I've done 1 or 2 interviews about that topic. And again, computer science is still in high demand. Don't get me wrong, but it's in such, but the amount of people applying for that role far out succeed the demand. So it's one of those things where the demand is high, but the supply is way harder. Y'all know we know about supply and demand. We got way too much supply. So even Harvard graduates aren't able to get interviews for these types of jobs. But on the flip side, you got people getting SDR jobs just because they have a little bit of sales background. They did some sales. Obviously, you still got to be able to network. You still got to do all these other stuff too. So anyway, so number 2. So we talked about the first one. Now, number 2, the second step to getting into tech is education. That might sound crazy to some people. I cannot tell y'all the number of people that come to me and they're like, yo, man, can't I just kind of get in on like a little finesse? I actually, there's a guy that I know, and I don't have any shade by this. I know him personally. He's a former NFL player. It's weird. I have a bunch of friends that are former NFL players, but he's a former NFL player. And he literally texted me yesterday. Like, he's been blowing me up, which I love it. It's not bad. I've been doing a bad job of responding to him, but he's been blowing me up. Like, yo, bro, I'm trying to get in tech. And he and I go back years. We go back since way before I was in tech, when I had a car breaking down and stuff like that. And it was like a little beater car. So he saw me. We met right after he got out of the league. So he still had a lot of his money. He was popping, all that stuff. He still is a dope dude, by the way. And now it's like I'm in tech. He's been watching what I've been doing. It's been a lot of mutual respect. He's a great dude. Nevertheless, he's been blowing me up for months, which again is a good thing because it shows he's serious. I gave him recommendations yesterday. I gave him 2 recommendations. I recommended him our program and I recommended him another program. And I did that because I'm really big on people knowing that I'm not trying to get you to sign up because like it does something for me. It's like this really is going to help you tremendously. But if you question that, here's another offer. Here's something else that will help you as well. Of course, again, I'm biased, but I'm like, here's something else as well. He hit me with literally, I'm thinking he's just going to tell me which one he wants to do. He sends me a voice note. I listen to the voice note, and the voice note is, he's like, man, you don't think there's some like I really gotta like pay for something? Like I can't just on the And I'm like, so you want to get you want to get help getting a $250,000 job? Because I'm gonna be real, you can do a little and get a certain role in tech that's probably gonna pay you $40,000, but you ain't about to your way into 90,000, 120,000, 150,000. Or the companies that we have recruiters at. Like we have recruiters and hiring managers at the top companies in the world where their companies on the low end are paying people $150,000, $180,000. But guess what? Even though those are entry level roles, you ain't about to your way up into those companies and those roles just off the yo, what's up? Put me in the game, coach. It doesn't work like that. And so again, my mind was blown. I'm like, wait, so you want to be handed the equivalent of millions of dollars, because if we're talking about a $200,000, $300,000 job in tech, that's yearly, not speaking of any bonuses, not speaking of, depending on what you're doing, if it's commission, if it has accelerators, the equity, like you could be making a $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 total comp. And then you put 10 years on that, you just made $7 million over 10 years. You want to be given millions of dollars just off of your charm. It's like, yes, Playboy, you need education. Like, companies are not paying you all this money just because you're a hard worker. You need education to know how to do a certain task. So again, y'all know I'm a little passionate. It's literally my homeboy. I was flabbergasted. I was like, bro, that's such a crazy question. It was crazy to me. Yes. So again, number 2 steps getting in tech, you need education. Now, of course, I say all the time, please stay away from college. Like, do not go to college to get in tech unless you're already in college to get in tech and you're already on year 3. Okay, it is what it is at this point. But other than that, it's honestly silly. It's very silly. In this day and age, it's silly to go to college to get in tech. The reason why, not only is it ridiculously expensive, it's crazy. Not only does it take years of your life, not only do they not actually help you with real tangible resources aside from the education, they're not helping you with your interviewing, with your resume, with your cover letter. They're not helping you with these other pieces. Your LinkedIn, they're not helping you with this stuff. But also, this is really the main reason why I say do not go to college to get in tech. The industry is moving and updating faster than colleges can keep up with, than universities can keep up with. Think about all of the updates that are happening every month, every couple of months with everything with AI. You really think you're going to go to college, learn something? I mean, you'll learn like the foundational of AI, but you really think that's going to help you more than you doing a program and also all the extracurricular BS stuff you do in college. And then you leave there with all this insurmountable debt. Not to mention, no one is helping you get a job in any kind of way. It's actually crazy. It's not a scam because you're paying for the education. It's just you're paying a $80,000 markup, $60,000 markup on the education versus a boot camp. And so, but again, the education is very hard for the curriculum to keep up with the market. It's very hard because the way college used to be, it used to be you had a professor who they went to college for something, and then they got their bachelor's, then they maybe got their master's, and then they went off, they started maybe doing that job, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but then eventually they got their professor, they moved up to doctorate basically, and then they became a professor at the university. But this industry is different because it's constantly updating. It's updating when it's just updating. I got a lot of other stuff to go over, but y'all get the point. Let me know in the chat if y'all get the point, or if y'all need me to explain it or flesh it out a little bit better. Anyway, so you need education, but the education needs to be industry standard. Industry standard. So again, boot camps are the best. I don't give a flip how nobody feel about it. I'll fight you over that. I throw hands over that. And I'm not even talking about like ours. I just in general, I pay for family members and friends and people to do boot camps because I believe in them so heavily. And obviously, y'all seen my content. Thousands of people have gotten in the industry because of the boot camps we recommended, or because of training that they got through me that's similar to a lot of the training we have within our program. So you definitely boot camps hand down, but specifically a quality boot camp. And I'm going to talk about in a minute some of the things a boot camp needs to give you, because a lot of these boot camps out here operate like college, where they just give you the education and that's kind of it. They might help you with a couple other things on the side, and that's why we're making a lot of updates within our program to really make sure that we're like ahead of the curve when it comes to what we're providing for everyone. Especially because we got these recruiters now that are interviewing and offering referrals. It's like we really have to make sure everything checks out top to bottom, so that way the recruiters are basically like happy to continue to collaborate with us, so they can continue to help with job assistance with more people that are in our program. That being said, the education has to be industry standard. It also needs to be concise. And what I mean by that is, again, something that is not, you're not learning over 2 years. I'm not even talking about college at this point, but something where you're not, it doesn't require you to be learning for a year and a half, 2 years. The reason why, because there are boot camps that are like 12 months long. You want to avoid that, again, because the industry is updating so quickly. You don't want to halfway through your boot camp, the industry change or some updates happen and you're learning something that's been outdated. Think about all the news we're hearing about things being outdated or like now it's been removed or replaced within the industry. You don't want to be 9 months into a program and then find this out. You're like, bro, what? Craziness. So it needs to be concise. It needs to be impactful, good education, concise, not ridiculously long. In my opinion, once a bootcamp program is longer than 6 months, I think 6 months, a good 6-month program, 8 months is stretching it. But anything, but also on the flip side, if something's like, oh, it's a 1 week, 2 week program, I see curriculums like that. And some of those work. But even that's a little dangerous. When it's like, okay, it's just 1 week, 2 week, giving some good information. Hey. Anyway, the other thing, the education should overlap with the entire sub industry. And I kind of mentioned this before. So the education, look, y'all, please, if you don't do a boot camp that's just SDR alone. And again, I'm not saying that's bad. It's not the best. Don't do a boot camp that's just GRC, where you're only learning one thing. Don't do a boot camp where you're just learning QA testing. You want to also be learning QA automation, QA engineering, QA analyst, like the whole SDET suite, software development, engineering, test, which overlaps everything in the QA space. Don't just learn just SDR. You want to do a program that you want the education to overlap with other things in tech sales. Same thing in the cloud space. Don't just be like, oh, I'm working to become a cloud engineer and that's all you're learning. You need things that overlap in that space as well. Again, the reason for this, because we're talking about the 3 steps to getting into tech, the reason why you need this comprehensive education is because it opens the door to 10 times more opportunities and jobs than just one. Like, imagine if you Google right now jobs, account executive, not Google, if you go to LinkedIn and you look up account executive jobs, you probably will find about 15,000, maybe 20,000. You'll find a good number. Then if you look up SDR jobs, you'll probably find about 20,000, 30,000. If you look up sales engineering jobs, you'll probably find availability of about 6,000, 7,000. Customer success, so on and so forth. If you only are learning customer success management, or you're only learning this other thing, you are limited to those options. Now, that's still a lot of really great options. But again, we're talking supply and demand. Now you have to compete harder. Versus if you are learning comprehensive, now you can apply to all of those openings. Now you qualify for all of those openings. Now, when you're, think about it this way, I want y'all to think about it this way. When you're at an event, a tech networking event, also we have a tech networking event coming up, by the way, sidebar plug, February 22nd, called Grown and Techie. Is going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. Make sure y'all get y'all's tickets. Ticket prices are literally just $30. So in comparison, the prices for our Techpreneur Con that happened last year, prices were $200. So $30, $200. And this is going to be much bigger. More people are going to be there, more heavy hitters, because it's a part of our community of techies and professionals, over 5,000. We're almost at 6,000 members right now. We might be at 6,000 members right now. I need to check. Anyway, we already got over 200 tickets purchased. We have a capacity of 300. We already got over 200 tickets purchased. The event is 2.5 weeks away. Get your tickets because it's going to sell out. We have hiring opportunities there. Hiring managers are going to be there. Recruiters are going to be there that are actually, their companies are hiring. It's gonna be incredible. Also, it's gonna be a lot of who's in the industry there, people you want to network with, collaborate with, and also it's gonna be a good time, good vibes, good education, good networking, mixing and mingling, all that stuff that we care about. So make sure you get your ticket. It's on the Tech is the New Black website. You can go to techisnewblack.com. and get your ticket there. Or if you have a tough time, I don't know, pulling it up for whatever, you shouldn't. But if you do, then you can just go to my Instagram and you can, let me see if the event is mentioned here in the description, because I didn't set this stream up. One of my team members did, and I didn't tell her to mention the event. So that's my fault. Yeah, y'all can click the description down below. And it'll have the link for our website. I'm on the wrong thing. It'll have the link for our website, and on the top you'll see events, which is one of the tabs for you to go ahead and get your ticket for the event. So anyway, so let's get back to the topic. I don't know, what is Justin? Oh, you talking about, bro wanted the hookup? Yeah, he did. He definitely did. Okay, TV says, I already graduated and wish I didn't do that. I'm out here alone trying to get into tech. It is, somebody said it is a scam. I'm talking about college. Between online certs and AI, you don't need college to learn tech, especially learning real-time skills that apply to jobs right now. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Gary. You need those certifications specifically. So it depends. So I have no certifications. No certifications. Certifications are, like, I'm gonna be very real with y'all. In our program, we added certifications because people were asking for it. And I'm like, okay, people really, and again, I know my brain thinks differently. Some people, they want to have a certification for achievement because it means something to them. I'm the type of person, I'm like, yo, am I done? I finished it. Okay, cool. All right, bet. Let's go ahead and get this job now. That's the way my mind works. But I'm not saying my mind works right. Maybe my mind works wrong. That being said, what I do know is that certifications only matter for certain roles in tech. So project management, yeah, you need your PMP certification. If you're doing something in cybersecurity, particularly something that's a lot more in depth, yeah, you're going to need your Security Plus and a variety of other certifications. But in tech sales, you don't need any certifications in tech sales. You just don't. In QA, the QA field, you don't need any certifications in tech. You just don't. So, and again, that's no shade. I don't want my tone to come off sounding rude or disrespectful, but just saying in general. Do you think a boot camp will be enough for a full sales role with no training at a startup? Do you think a boot camp will be enough for a full sales role? I don't know what you mean by full sales role. I wasn't difference between full sales role and a sales role, but do you think it will be enough for a full sales role with no training at a startup? Yeah, I mean, I think I understand your question. The answer is yes. A boot camp is more than enough. Yeah, boot camp is more than enough. Anyway, so we went over the first two. We talked about the 3 steps to getting into tech. Step number 1 is finding what you want to do in tech. If anybody's popping in and you're like, what? That sounds so simple. That's because you popped in late. You would have got the real sauce. So you have to watch this back earlier. The second step is education. Again, it's going to sound, so simple. There's a lot more in depth to that. The third one, and again, we have a bonus at the end. The third one is resources. Because again, knowing what you want to do in tech matters, and knowing it in a detailed, granular level. The education is key. It needs to be industry standard. But resources, y'all, we're in a day and age. I want to be very clear. We're in a day and age. We're not in the old days where you just go to college or you get some education and then bada boom, bada bang, you get in a high paying job. It's the Hunger Games out here, y'all. It's battle royale. You have to have resources and education beyond the education for the role. You have to be educated when it comes to landing the role, landing the opportunity. And so we'll go over a couple basic things. Your resume. I see people paying $1,000 for resume review. And mind you, I get why they do it, because they know it's valuable. It's needed. because a lot of people's resumes look real wonky, real crazy. And there's a way that resumes look sometimes that's very outdated, or is very oversaturated to where you don't stand out, or it doesn't line up with the applicant tracking system, which, for those that don't know, recruiters are not the ones looking at your resumes anymore. It's a system that looks at it. The system chooses a top group of resumes, and then the recruiters might sift through. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Most jobs I've gotten, I could tell the initial recruiter never even looked at my resume, because they would ask me questions. I'm like, that's on my resume. Or they would be literally saying, like, asking me questions. They're like, okay, I'm looking at your resume. And I'm like, this is literally your first time looking at it. Nevertheless, the resume is incredibly important because it's how you actually get even seen potentially for an interview. Again, most colleges do not assist with this. And there are a lot of tech boot camps out there that just provide education, but they're not actually helping you with a industry standard resume. They'll give you a resume, but it's not a resume that's going to attract an opportunity. That's why we recently added our resume template, because we have a training where we go over the resume, but we also have a resume template. So that way it's cut and dry. It's nothing theoretical. It's cut and dry. We actually just hired somebody to join the team where they are literally their role is they're the consistency manager, because there's so many people joining our program, so many people that we're connecting with, these recruiters and hiring managers. It's honestly one of those things where I'm like, yo, I really want to make sure we're having checks and balances for everybody. So we have a consistency manager where it's literally their job to make sure that everyone is on the same page. And they're going to be starting officially. They're starting right now, but we're still training and still ironing out what it's going to look like, because we want it to be very detailed. So they're going to be starting in about a week and a half in terms of actually helping out with that. Because it's very important. We have to have consistency across the board. Because you got some people that are rock stars. We give them our training. They meet with us. They go through the modules, and they're going to that's all they need. And then you have other people who they have a lot of questions, or they need a template, or maybe they're kind of falling behind. Maybe they're dealing with self-doubt. So it's like, yo, we need a consistency manager to make sure there's consistency amongst everybody across the board. And everybody's getting a certain level of support that they need. All right, next thing, cover letter. Same thing, overlaps with resume. I'm not going to talk about that too much. Same situation applies. Third thing we talk about resources is your LinkedIn optimization. Somebody just hit me up, I think 2 weeks ago. Oh, I need to find this message. I meant to share it on social media as a flex, to be like, y'all know, hey, you gotta flex the wins. You gotta flex the people that the people that you're helping and the impact that you're causing. Yep. Where is it? Yep. I don't even know if y'all can see that. I'm trying to cover up I ain't gotta cover up the name. It is what it is. So this is the message right here. Hopefully y'all can read backwards. He says, yo, bro, I hope your holidays went well. Wanted to reach out first to check in, and second to thank you for the advice you gave me at the Black Men in Tech conference. After making the changes to my LinkedIn, 3 months later, I ended up getting reached out to by a recruiter by Salesforce for a BDR role. I start next week. I definitely understand now why you said to jump ship to a new company for better pay. Yeah, he was at a company not getting paid good enough. So I gave him some coaching at an event. And I was like, hey, bro, you ain't getting paid good enough. But I told him, he booked a coaching call with me. And I showed him what to work on with his LinkedIn. And I told him how you will have recruiters reaching out to you if you have your LinkedIn properly optimized. And so you got LinkedIn optimization is heavy. Before I was ever popular in the tech space, I was getting crazy job offers, not because I was popular, but because the way I was leveraging my LinkedIn. And it's more than just how it was set up. It was how I was using it, how I was networking on there. It was a certain strategy, and we've included that strategy into the program. My bad. Somebody just said, how much is I've seen a few different people asking, how can you share the price of the bootcamp? Share the price of the bootcamp. So look, so if you need education, so for the DevOps, again, it's comprehensive DevOps with AI. So it's everything in the DevOps space. So it's DevOps, if QA, everything in the QA space, QA analyst, QA engineer, automation, everything in the QA space, again, with AI implemented into the training as well, AI as it relates to QA. Or tech sales, again, our instructors, Horace, who's the instructor of the tech sales program, he is an enterprise director of sales at Microsoft. You don't get higher than that. He's at the #1 tech company in the world, and he's a hiring manager who oversees the team of enterprise account executives. He's a big dog of a big dog of a big dog. He's the instructor and creator of the program, based on the market and based on what big companies like Microsoft are looking for. And then our QA program, the instructor of the QA program, he's someone who actually did our program, got in tech, scaled, and then eventually the other instructor basically was retiring, and so we brought him in. Now he's over the program. He did the program himself, so he's able to speak to it and instruct from the angle of him being a student as well as him working in tech at a couple companies now. So either way, we have that. But if specifically, we have the Tech Career Accelerator at the back end. We have the recruiters and the hiring managers of major tech companies. If you're someone who's already done a quality boot camp, or you've already went to college for tech, or you already have extensive experience in corporate, or you're knowledgeable, or basically you're like, you don't need the education. You just need the Tech Career Accelerator. You don't need the boot camp, which includes the Tech Career Accelerator. You just need a Tech Career Accelerator. If you're a person where you don't have that much knowledge or you're not really sure, then you more than likely would need to do something in the program. Now, we have a tech quiz. If you don't know what you should do in tech, we have a tech quiz, a 7-question quiz, and it gives you the answer. It gives you 2 options based on the way you answer the questions. It'll always give you 2 options. It'll say like sales engineering and QA analyst, or it'll say QA engineer and customer success manager. Whatever it is, it also will show you our list of companies that are hiring for those roles that we have recruiters and hiring managers that are interviewing and doing a job placement assistant for our students. So literally, that's the way so you can take the quiz and figure out what you want, what's best for you, as well as get plugged in that way. So, but if you need the education for the bootcamp, including the Tech Career Accelerator, it was $79.95. We have it discounted right now temporarily. It's at $59.95. It includes everything: education, instructor, course curriculum, as well as the job placement assistance with the recruiters and hiring managers from 2 different tech companies, not 1, 2. The 2 that you choose. And then for just the Tech Career Accelerator, where again, if you already have skills, you already have knowledge, and literally within 1 month, you'll be placed in interviews with the recruiters and hiring managers at these companies. And the reason why it's 1 month, we could make it to where we literally put you in an interview with them this week, or have you talk with them this week. It's because we still have you go through a 7-day, it's self-paced, but it's roughly a 7-day training to really make sure you are well refined. Now, it's not a training that teaches you a job in tech. It's a training that makes sure you are refined when it comes to your interviewing, your LinkedIn, your resume, your cover letter, your networking, your career brand, all of that. Because again, we're putting you in the hands of recruiters at the top companies in the world, billion-dollar companies. Like, your life will be changed. So it's important for us that you are representing yourself well and you're representing us well. So respectfully, I don't care how much education you got, we at least have that part, because if we're giving someone to the recruiters who are knowledgeable but are horrible at interviewing, or their LinkedIn looks trash, or they're culturally, attitude wise, they're not there. These recruiters are gonna look at us like, bro, like, what are we doing here? And I'm going to keep in mind, we're paying them, by the way, because they're not. This is something they're doing on the side to assist with the job placement. So Microsoft isn't telling them to do this; they're doing this. So We're paying them to do this, by the way. So the Tech Career Accelerator, everything fully comprehensive, whether you want to do tech sales, you want to do QA, or DevOps, $59.95 is discounted right now, usually $79.95. Just the Tech Career Accelerator, it's discounted as well, $39.95. Eventually, the Tech Career Accelerator is going to be $59.95, and the actual full comprehensive with the boot camps, the education, and the Tech Career Accelerator is going to be $79.95. Our goal is to keep it, we're trying to keep it at this point, because right now a lot of these companies are mass hiring. Between January and April, there's a lot of mass hiring happening right now. And that's why a lot of these recruiters are on our backs, respectfully, but they're on our backs like, yo, we need you, like, we're trying to help your community and people. We need you to send more people to us. So we're like, okay, we really need to kind of crank it up a little bit. That being said, we also got a huge sponsorship from a church or a ministry, where basically it covered. That's why we're able to do the discount, because it covers basically it just covers stuff to where we're able to discount it temporarily. And so we're going to know within about a week or 2 weeks, probably, when the price is going to go back up. But right now, that's where it's at. So those are the two different options. Anyway, thanks, LA. I'm not sure what thanks, LA means. Oh, somebody said the link to the quiz in the description in the paragraph stating if you want to be paired with recruiters. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, LA, for letting people know. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. And also, I want to be clear, y'all. There are payment plans, but I want to be clear. The way that the payment options are set up, it's based on when you want the interviews. So literally, if you want to interview and you want the job placement assistance this month, then it's literally because again, the recruiters, they're going to start the job placement assistance once they've been paid. They're not going to work and not be paid. Because again, we're talking about people that already make $250,000 a year. They work 40 hours, 45 hours a week at their tech companies. A lot of them have a business on the side. They have family. They got stuff going on. So as much as they love helping us and helping the people, they're not going to be helping with the job placement assistance unless we've made sure that they've been fully compensated. So literally, we have an option to where same month you'll be in the process with them, or depending on the payment options that you want to do. And I think it goes all the way out to, I think, 6 months or 8 months, which we don't have anybody who's chosen 6 months or 8 months for the Tech Career Accelerator. Everybody wants their interviews now, so most have either done straight up front, or they've done split, which means that they get their interviews the following month. And that's usually what we've seen. But we do have options. And this isn't a weird thing where you got to put your credit, your social security number down. Because we ain't here to mess up nobody's credit. We ain't here to hunt you down and be like, hey, you owe some. Look, we here to help you get in the industry. If for whatever reason, somebody, maybe God blesses you and you fall upon a bunch of money, or maybe something else, then totally cool. God bless you. That being said, our goal is to help people get in the industry and get at the best companies that pay the most amount of money. And that's why we have the Tech Career Accelerator. We're very grateful for the recruiters and hiring managers that have been that are collaborating with us. Super good. All right, y'all, that's basically it. So again, 3 steps getting into tech. I'm about to wrap this up, and then I am going to I'll show something real quick. So 3 steps to get into tech. First, finding what you want to do in tech. Again, I broke that down in detail. Second, having an industry standard education that should overlap with certain things. And again, I'm sounding crazy, but those of y'all that have been on here, you understand what I mean. Those of y'all that popped in late, you just got to go back to the beginning and rewatch it later. The third thing is resources. Industry standard resume, industry standard cover letter, LinkedIn being properly optimized to attract recruiters and hiring managers, your interviewing skills being fully refined, your application process, your job application process. I cannot tell you, a lot of y'all are applying to companies, and the way your way you're applying is actually the reason why you're not getting the job. And some of y'all are like, what does that mean? I don't have the time to break that down. We do have a training for that. That's in the accelerator. I'll give a little bit because I don't want anybody thinking that I'm just trying to say that. And so, for example, a lot of people that are applying to companies, you aren't looking at your domain. You're just looking at a role and applying to a company that has a role that's open, which is okay. But what's better is you leveraging your domain expertise, your domain history, and your skill and applying to a company where both align, because it makes you a higher candidate. That's one tip when it comes to, and again, I could break that down further, but that's one tip when it comes to your job application process. Another tip is your follow through when you apply to the company, and how you are, what do you do after you apply to the company? A lot of people will reach out to the recruiter or hiring manager. A lot of people don't even know how to do that, or you'll just reach out to a random recruiter at the company and you don't even know really how that conversation goes, how it flows. We literally have a template on that and a training on that. And so your career brand. A lot of people got in their LinkedIn, they want to do a certain job in tech, but your LinkedIn and the way you brand yourself and operate on LinkedIn does not match up with that brand. So companies are passing you up because somebody else fits the brand better. I mean, it just is what it is. I could talk about that further, but we ain't got time. The third piece is networking. And this sounds simpler than what it is. We have an entire module that goes over networking. It's a training that's roughly about 30 minutes long, 40 minutes long, give or take. And because a lot of people think, oh, I just go to a tech networking event and I just talk to people and I tell them what I want to do. Again, it's much more granular than that. You could sauce it up 10 times more than that. And again, that's why people are like, man, I'm doing all of this stuff. I'm going to tech events. Man, I'm applying to companies. I did a boot camp. I got a certification. Man, how come nobody's hiring me? And then we always tend to think, oh, it's because I'm black, or it's because I'm a woman, or it's because I don't know, because I ain't got no fashion sense. I don't know, whatever people think. And again, all these things matter. Everything matters. All of the biases, these things exist, but they're not the end all be all. I guess that's absolutely crazy. Like they're not even a main contributing factor. And for those of y'all that believe in God, you have to understand, like, God is much more powerful and is in much more control than someone's racism. A racist person cannot keep me from working at whatever tech company I want to work at, especially if it's something that God has for me. So, and that's something I feel like people have gotten away from. Too many people are like, oh, the white man ain't holding me back. He can hold y'all back. The Jewish man ain't holding me back. They can hold y'all back. They ain't holding me back. I don't even tell my kids, ain't nobody holding you back, because God got you. And we're gonna put the work in. We're gonna put the work in. And so again, network, all these pieces I just went over, all the pieces I went over are incredibly important. Now, again, I went over all of these on a high level, but pero, y'all know I'm learning Spanish. All of these, and now this is for those that are already in the program. And I mean, it's beneficial for people that are thinking about signing up to the Tech Career Accelerator as well. But a lot of y'all that are in the program don't know about a lot of the updates that have happened. Because again, we're in the Discord. A lot of y'all are tapped in, and it's other people that are not paying attention. And I'm like, yo, we need y'all paying attention, because the industry is hot right now. It is hot right now, and it's getting hotter. It's not hot for software engineers. It's not hot for certain roles, but it's hot for what it is that you're going through within the program. So you want to make sure you're taking advantage, because getting the education alone is not enough. If the education alone was all it is, then we would literally you would do the cohorts with Negus or Horace or the instructors, and then you would go through the specific tech sales training or the QA training. We have more than that for you, because we want more of y'all landing jobs faster. We want people to be like, y'all need to land jobs fast. We want that to happen, because it's a win for you. It's a win for us, and it inspires other people to join, which ultimately ends up being a win for them as well. So I'm going to show y'all really quickly. Crap. Because I'm working with one monitor. I'm working with one screen. All right, here we go. So this will give a quick breakdown or a quick synopsis as to what it is that we're talking. I low key was kind of like, I'm not really sure if I'll show this, but I'm like, whatever. All right, let's share my screen. Oh, that's the wrong button. What am I clicking on? All right, cool. Here we go. Here we go. All right. So, boom. All right. So these are the modules. And it's important for y'all to see this. These are the modules when it comes to, now again, these are just the modules. When I talk about when you do the Tech Career Accelerator, and again, those of y'all that are doing tech sales or QA, y'all have access to this. I'm seeing y'all go through the other trainings and modules. Y'all are meeting up with your instructors, Horace and Negas. That's good. That's enough to get you in the industry. But we don't want you to just get in the industry. We want you to scale in the industry. A lot of y'all, different students have gotten in the industry without going through these modules, but you can get better opportunities by going through this stuff. So anyway, so first we have the foundation and mindset to scaling in tech. This is incredibly important because this resets everyone's minds to make sure everyone has the proper mindset. Again, it sounds simple, but it's a lot of good sauce to it. You have the boot camp and post boot camp hygiene. What to do before you start the boot camp, which at this point you would be in, but at least it's still at the beginning. So what to do before the boot camp, during the boot camp, after the boot camp, hygiene. And I'll break down what I mean by hygiene. And I'm not talking literally like your hygiene, like you stink, because it's virtual. So I don't know what y'all be smelling like. All right. Third thing is navigating the community, blah, 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 self-explanatory, so you can know how to navigate the community. All right, here we go. LinkedIn. So now we get into the chapter, which is breaking into the industry. This chapter alone is more than enough sauce to get in the industry. And again, this is with the Tech Career Accelerator. So for those of y'all who already went to college for tech, done a quality boot camp, or you have a lot of experience in the industry, this is the sauce that you missing. Like I mentioned, I just did a quick synopsis of LinkedIn optimization. It's a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 40-minute LinkedIn optimization training, breaking the sauce down piece by piece. Like Franklin Saint said, brick by brick. Also, we have exclusive LinkedIn and resume hacking. I paid someone who has a business. Their entire business is about teaching LinkedIn and resume hacking. I paid them to come on to teach this curriculum in the program. So y'all ain't just seeing my face or Horace's face, or y'all are seeing other people that we paid because they're superior in a lot of ways with knowledge. Also, advanced application process, like I just talked about, the hour and 16-minute training going over your application process. Tips for your interview process. That's another thing. I didn't even talk about that earlier. And again, I'm just going over all of the things, and I want to be very clear. For those of y'all that you are, the other reason for this is for y'all to know what things to work on you haven't even thought about. So again, those of y'all that are already in a program or about to get in a program, this is kind of giving you an overview. But for those of y'all that, for whatever reason, you're not interested, totally 100% fine. But you at least need to know topic-wise the things you need to work on. You know, whether you want to book a coaching call with me or somebody else, you at least need to look at these topics and understand these are topics that are really beneficial for you getting in the industry. All right, I'll move a little bit quicker because I got plans tonight. Anyway, so resume builder. This is with a senior talent sourcer. Going over your resume. Again, you have the resume hack above, but same thing. I paid this person to come on because as a senior talent sourcer for a major tech company, and actually they're above that level now, it's important for them to, because literally their job is to source talent to then invite that talent in to be interviewed with their recruiters. So they're talking about how they source resumes and what they're looking for. Application and interview tracker. So you have a tracker as well as a template that's you'll see later. And again, you need to track stuff. And I'm gonna say that for everybody. A lot of y'all just applying to companies, you just waiting to see via email, or you're applying and maybe you're listing the companies you applied to in the role. That's not enough. And I know you might think, why does that matter? How would that help me get a job? I don't have the time here to explain that, but it literally is what took me from my first 4 weeks trying to get a job after tech, and I didn't have an application and interview tracker, and I was barely getting interviews, to I prayed, literally God was like, hey, Playboy, you need to do this. And I ain't saying like he told me, like it came out from the sky, but y'all know what I mean. Like impressed it in my heart to be like, this is what you should do. I created one, and this breaks down how to be able to go, how this will like help elevate your game. Strategy for networking at tech events. Oh, I lied. It's 5 minutes. Literally, I thought that joke was way longer. That's actually funny. We need to update it then. This might be. I need to update this. I'm gonna go through this and make sure, because this actually might not be the full video. That's weird because I know it's longer than 5 minutes. Anyway, that's some homework for me tonight. All right. So job seeking coaching. This is a live class. Just coaching with the tech recruiter. Another one, tech recruiter career Q&A. Again, these are recruiters and people that I paid to come on to provide some live audience tips. Mock interviews, literally live mock interviews with an HR professional. Another person that we paid to bring on. This person is phenomenal when it comes to interviewing and when it comes to what they're looking for in the interviews. And again, the reason for this training is for you to visibly see how like things you need to work on in your interview. And again, we have some interview trainings in the interview process, but this is something with, again, somebody where they do this. Then you have 6 to 7 figure salary negotiations training. And again, self-explanatory, not a cheap or short video or short training. Now, modules we're about to add in here is you being a non-US citizen, how to get in tech. And then from there, we have actual forms where you schedule your vetting interview. Now, this is the vetting interview you do with the hiring manager, who they finalize, reconfirm the 2 top tech companies that you want to work at. And then after that confirmation, and also it's not just you confirming, but it's also them telling you like based on what you want to do in tech, what you can expect at those companies. They'll go over the pay ranges. They'll break everything down. So again, you can finalize and say, yeah, I want to do Salesforce over IBM, or I want to do Salesforce and IBM, but I don't want to do the other ones. They do that with you. And then they pair you with the recruiter and the hiring manager from each of the 2 companies. So 2 recruiters and 2 hiring managers. You get paired with them. And again, I want you to understand, a hiring manager, they are literally the person who's usually over that team that you're looking to work with, or they work adjacent. So for anybody, I don't know if anybody knows the statistic when it comes to getting internal referrals, and when it comes to those referrals being from the interviewer or the hiring manager recruiter, it is literally a 95% increase of landing your role at the company, a 95% increase. Now, I want y'all to keep in mind, this training is also to help you land roles at other companies as well. So that way you're not just limited to the options that we give you, but you're able to use this to get opportunities at other companies as well as leverage this training for the future whenever you want to job hop or you want to transition to other companies. Now, this is just the breaking into tech. Now, again, for all of y'all, I want to make sure y'all are going over this. Now we have scaling in tech. What is scaling in tech? This is that salt. This is how you get rich. I'm going to just say it like that. I'm going to say what it is. This is how you get rich in tech. I got in the industry. Y'all know I was a Lyft driver. Less than a year later, I was making over $500,000 total comp in the tech industry. And people were like, how the heck you do that? I've done coaching calls with people that have been in tech for 20 years, 15 years. And they're like, yo, I'm only making 180, 200,000, $250,000. How am I not making at least 600, 700,000 right now? And what I realized during the coaching calls was a lot of this sauce that's shared in here, they don't know this stuff. So literally the first one is the intro, scaling to $500,000 intro and outline. The next one is how to quickly scale to $250,000 to $500,000. And when I say quickly, I mean your first 2 to 3 years being at $250,000 to $500,000. And again, I keep it conservative because technically you, depending on yourself, depending on the favor God has in your life, you could do this in a year like I did. You could do it sooner. But I like to be a bit conservative. So I say 2 to 3 years. Then you have scaling to executive level. A lot of y'all are like, man, I'm trying to be executive level. I'm trying to be higher up. Executive level, which is usually around $500,000, sometimes up to like $2 or $3 million. How to do, like, actually how to do this. Then how to build wealth with equity. Literally, this is a way to make 7-8 figures in tech. How to build wealth with equity in the company. So this is aside from your bag. We're talking something else and how to actually do this strategically. Self-promotion in the workplace to scale. Literally paid somebody, brought them in, and they're talking about how to scale, like how to leverage the company you're working in to scale further, faster within that company. Like what to do. Something a lot of us don't do. A lot of people make content about things they not going to do. And it's like, that's why you're not scaling further. And then we have the how to never get fired or laid off, which is actually very recent. I literally just did the overview on this. And I took it down off of social media because it was just a stream that I did, and then I took it down. But literally, how to never get fired or laid off. And I've never been worried about getting fired or getting laid off, any tech company. I just haven't. And a lot of my friends don't either. It's not even anything we think about. And it's not because you just work really hard. That's like 1 out of 10 of the things in here. But that's like that's like a duh. So literally, how to never get laid off. So again, this is scaling in tech, like how to get to $500,000 to a couple $1 million in the tech industry. Now, again, this is nothing about getting in the tech industry. This is after. So literally these modules, as well as you getting connected with the recruiters and hiring managers that are assisting with job placement and referrals and whatnot, that's the piece just to get you in the industry. But to getting you in the industry specifically at big tech companies where you're going to have big pay. But for those of y'all that you're like, yo, I'm trying to scale way further. Maybe you're already in tech. You're like, I'm trying to scale way further. This literally gives an entire breakdown. And then, of course, here are the templates, as I mentioned before. We have LinkedIn profile template, resume template, cover letter template, direct message to recruiters and hiring managers, preparing for a screening call, preparing for the interview. Tell me about yourself. Rejection response emails, salary negotiation template, immediate promotion template, layoff job hopper template, how you can be a non-US citizen and still get a US tech job template, seasoned or older person looking for a fresh start, resignation letter, career gap, pivoting careers, entrepreneurs, teachers, blah, 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 and then a more comprehensive salary negotiation guide. So that way, when you get the offer letter, you don't just accept it, but leveraging this guide, and again, also you have the Discord, you have us and stuff like that, but this is just a way that you can have access, copy and paste to get the best offer. Because again, I've interviewed y'all, some of y'all might have seen it. I have friends, the biggest offer that the biggest bonus I ever got, not sign-on bonus that I ever got was a $25,000 sign-on bonus. I have friends that have gotten $70,000, $80,000 sign-on bonuses. Horace, again, who's the instructor, his largest sign-on bonus, I think it was him. I think his largest sign-on bonus might have been $50,000, but they said yes, whatever it was, they said yes so fast, but they gave it to him so easily. He was disappointed he didn't ask for more. And so this goes over what to ask for, how to ask for more as well. So again, I'm sharing this as a quick breakdown so you are fully aware. Those of y'all that are in the program, you're fully aware as to what these modules are, what to expect, what to be prepared for. So mentally you're prepared and you can make sure that you are taking this seriously and that you are diving in and just killing it and crushing it. Because again, we got everything to help you. We have more stuff to help you than I could have imagined getting in tech. When I paid my $4,000 to get in the industry, I have half this stuff. And I definitely didn't have the recruiters and hiring managers on the back end actively assisting me for job placement assistance. So, but you have this because we need you to be well refined. So that way you are representing yourself well, representing us well, representing God well. And ultimately it helps open the door for more opportunities for other people to come through us as well. Because as long as we're sending quality, refined people to these recruiters into these companies and y'all are performing well at the companies, more of those recruiters are going to come to us and say, yeah, we love hiring people that y'all are bringing us. We love hiring people from y'all's community. We love coaching and training those people because they come to us well refined already. So aside from that, that's basically it. Shouts out to those of y'all that are in the program, those that have recently joined. This week alone, we've had 14 people join the program. We're working to get that number up because of the demand that these companies have and the hiring surge is right now. We're trying to help as many people as possible. We're not accepting more than 250 people a month, really 200 people a month. And I know some like only that number. Again, the companies are mass hiring like crazy. Every day the team is speaking with at least about 50 or 60 people. The calendars are crazy flooded. And we're trying to help as many people as possible. Because I've said this before, I said this yesterday. By the end of 2026, I'm not helping people get in tech anymore. Because I'm gonna be a straight up just tech founder. And also it's gonna be harder, almost impossible to get in the industry at that point. So it's one of those things where you need to get in sooner to secure yourself and to scale, because it's going to be one of those things where entry-level roles in tech are not going to exist anymore. Reid Hoffman, who's the co-founder of LinkedIn, said this himself. He literally said, yo, in a few years from now, there's not going to be, he actually said there aren't going to be like jobs, but realistically, like he doubled down and he was like, he's like, entry level, like you getting a new job or you transitioning to a new industry. So likewise, I'm not going to be trying to help people get in tech because at that point I'm going to know it's going to be almost impossible, and I'm not going to be trying to help people do something that's impossible. Doing something that's hard is cool, but not something that's dang near impossible. So anyway, that's that. Look, I love y'all. For anybody that is interested in the program, whether you need to do an actual boot camp and you need those, of course, the Tech Career Accelerator, we have that option. But for those of you that you already done a boot camp, you already went to college, you just need the Tech Career Accelerator to be able to accelerate yourself and also get the opportunities from the two different major tech companies and recruiters. That you just need a Tech Career Accelerator. But for those of you, for anybody else that you're doing something else already to get in the industry, shouts out to you. Again, use this information that I just gave you as a way to know, okay, these are the things I don't have. I need to work on these things. And again, I don't like to promote doing coaching calls because I prefer talking to groups of people for free or for cheap than having somebody pay me a few $100s for like I'm just talking one-on-one with a coach call. But if anybody wants to book me for a coach call, again, don't feel bad if you do. You can do that as well. And I'll be able to do a coaching call with you if you want to go over one or two of these pieces. But look, aside from that, I'm looking at a couple of the comments. I'm going to let y'all go. Dan says, thanks, Cyrus, for the gems. Hey, thank you for tuning in and investing in yourself and your time. Charlotte Hammond says, Cyrus, give us the tea. Appreciate that. Dana says, all things work together. Amen. Those are facts. Anthony says, don't give up when it comes to getting in touch with somebody to get into the programs. It's all worth it. That's very true. Oh, thank you for that, Anthony. Thank you for that. Yeah, because I know a lot of y'all have been trying to get in touch with our career advisors. And again, y'all, their calendars get flooded. If y'all look on my Instagram, y'all will notice I only posted 2 times last week on Instagram. I usually post 3 times a day. I only posted like 2 times last week. And it's because I was like, let me chill out, slow down, because the career advisors calendars were getting booked up like insane. Like, let me show y'all, because I say that and I think people think that I say stuff because I'm trying to like hype something up. And I'm the complete opposite. So let me show y'all real quick. So that way, really, so y'all can give grace to the career advisors. Now look at this. These are scheduled calls with the career advisors. This is Thursday. This is tomorrow. Back to back to back to back to back to back. This is Friday. Let's click into Friday. And this is my first time looking at this since I think yesterday. All these book calls and appointments. Sunday, Monday. All right. Oh, yeah. And it would go out further, but we actually shortened the list. Now, I want y'all to be clear. There's pockets of times available in here. So again, for those that are interested, go ahead and schedule, because these pockets are going to be filled up and you're going to have to wait like 5 days to speak with the team, 6 days to speak with the team. And if you're somebody where you're legitimately serious and you're ready to get started now, you literally will be getting interviewed this month, or not this, yeah, this month. We're at the beginning of the month. So literally within a month's time frame, you'll be set up with your interview process. Because at that point, you would have went through these modules, just the required break into tech, and then you would have the vetting interview, and then you'll be sent off to the recruiters and hiring managers of other companies. So again, make sure if you're interested, whatever. If you're not, totally cool. Yeah. Aside from that, y'all, love y'all. Many blessings. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for being here. Love y'all very much. Oh, somebody said, where's the cost of each option? I missed it. So again, for the boot camp, I'm gonna say this one last time. The boot camp, everything included is tech career accelerator, as well as education of boot camp. And that's different than this. I want to be very clear. This is not education as it pertains to your job in tech. We separately have the actual boot camp where you're learning everything in QA or you're learning everything in tech sales. That's separate. And that's actually more robust than this. It's much more information because again, and also it's the cohort, the training with the instructors. That's currently usually is $79.95. And again, I don't cap when I say stuff. There are people in our program that before we had this sponsor, basically, there are several people right now. Some of them might be here in the chat that they invested $79.95. So it's usually $79.95. Right now, it's $59.95. It's gonna go back up to $79.95. I can't tell you when because it's based on when the money from the sponsor runs out, and we have to put it back at the normal price point. So and again, it's people are signing up. So I can't really say when, but it's as of now, the time of this recording, I don't want anybody to watch this next week and be like, hey, it says $79.95. You said it's at $59.95. So as of now, $59.95 for everything. But if you just need the Tech Career Accelerator, it is $39.95. But literally, when the sponsorship money runs out, it's going to be at $59.95. So and yeah, that's basically it. All right, so that's it, y'all. Kaylin says, can I book you for a coaching call through LinkedIn? Yeah, just DM me. DM me, ask for the link for a coaching call. Either myself or one of the team members will give you the link to be able to book with me. All right, look, y'all, many blessings. I got a shower because I was out at the beach and all that, and I feel sticky, and I was on jet skis, about to break my bones, acting like a maniac. I'm about to hop up in this shower. I'm about to get fresh. I'm about to be outside. I'm just playing. But I love y'all. God bless.